Alright guys, welcome to the next level call. Appreciate you guys jumping on and watching and what's been really neat, and I'm going to turn over to Andrew Taylor here in a few minutes, but I want to go over some numbers, is in the life insurance industry, the way numbers usually work over the summertime, whatever that means to you, June, July, August, is what I heard when I started 10 plus years ago is, man, you just need to stay alive during the summer. Like, a lot of kids kids aren't in school for the most part. A lot of people just kind of change their schedule, a lot of vacations, and really a lot of people are talking about just trying to stay alive, if you will. And the funny thing for us is, and this is in December, on the 12th, it'll be our 5th year in business, and we grow. I mean, now we grow because we don't believe people just aren't working ever. We do believe it's simple to sell life insurance. We do believe the people we work with want coverage. We do believe that you need to make sure you work your job. Of course, you take your vacations, do the things you need to do with your family, but you manage your schedule. When you're a good boss of yourself, you're allowed to do that. I mean, companies don't just decide to go out of business in the summertime. The ones when you're an employee and you work for them, everybody kind of figures it out. So this week, we had a staff meeting this morning, and we talked about we're going to hit 150 million this year in life and annuity. Like, we're going to keep killing it. We want to hope to be well over it. But we're going to hit 150. And one of the staff members said, "What's our goal for 2019?" I said, 250 million. And we started breaking down the life numbers and said, look, we are literally going to be doing 2 million in paid life business a week. You're saying 2 million a week. There are companies that would like to do 2 million a year. We'll do 2 million a week when we start 2019. Because we're heading towards 1.6, 1.7 a week right now. We contracted more agents last week than any given quarter the previous year. So to give you an idea, if you want to know if we're rolling, the answer is we are rolling. So here's some people that are really rolling, very excited about. So I'm going to do the agents that submitted over 15,000 for just the week. Okay, so this past week, Danielle B, 15,500. Ryan M, 15,728. Tyler T, 15,900. Jessica E, 17,674. Brig G, 19,700. Anthony B, 19,919. Dan S, 22,854. Tim O, 23,974. Drew I, 24,488. Kaylin E, 25,393. Louise D, 25,456. Nick D, 25,487. Brittany S, $56,008. And James S submitted $100,670 for the week. So obviously wrote quite a bit of life business, wrote some annuities as well, and what an outstanding week. Here are the agencies, the teams that are over 100,000 for the week. 12 of them this week, and we have another 6 or 7 that are pretty close to hitting that number every week. So this week, the 12 are FFL United, 138,322. Golden State, 141,258. East Coast, 162,363. Atlantic, 179,053. Northwest, 196,282. Family First Life Maryland, 253,610. FFL Global, 287,062. FFL USA, 342,467. Tri-State, $399,997. West Coast, 432,896. Gulf Coast, 466,011. And Family First Life Southeast, $664,354. Here are the agents that issued over 10,000 for the week. So just this past week, they issued 10,000 for the week. Len D, 10,116. Paul D, 10,283. Ted T, 10,871. Paige L, 10,872. Zach T, 11,174. Daniel S, 11,235. Steva Retha G, 11,273. Nathan H, 11,325. John D, 11,476. Matt W, 11,534. Ryan M, 11,988. Danielle B, 12,208. Dawn S, 13,324. Christina B, 14,076. Chantel W, 14,162. Josh R, 14,395. Wayne C, 16,791 paid for the week. Amy M, 17,731. Shanaz T, 17,947. Millie P, 18,450. We had 7 people issue over 20,000 for the week. Ivan V, 20,958. Tiffany G, 21,068. Brig G, 23,794. Teresa M, 27,812. Luke B, 27,825. David P, 29,863. And Dean P, $31,191. Listen, it's contracted agents. Okay, so I mean, just to kind of give you concept, we don't do this much, Andrew and Mike, but I mean, we don't read these numbers off much, but let me just kind of give this to you real quick. So we had 13 organizations that contracted, 6 that contracted. So the person has a license, and they got contracted with a carrier this week. FFL United and Central each contracted 6. FFL Legacy, West Coast, and Gulf Coast 7. Global 8. FFL Maryland 12. FFL Tri-State contracted 15 this week. Golden State 16. Northwest 20. Southeast 21. East Coast 23. And our guest today, FFL USA, he and a bunch of other amazing people that work at the organization, amazing men and women, they contracted 69 agents this week. So if you want to know, those are just the top agencies. You want to know if we're growing. And real quick, I'm going to do the top 10 paid life this week. Nathan H, 11,325. John D, 11,476. Ryan M, 11,988. Teresa M, 12,812. Chantel W, 14,162. Amy M, 14,311. Josh R, 14,395. Millie P, 14,663. Shanaz T, 17,947. Ivan V, and paid life this week. Life insurance business, $20,958. So one of the things I would advise everybody to do at this point in time, as we're rolling here into through August and into the September and getting this this thing going for the rest of the year. We have some amazing things coming up that I think will really help you with your business. We're starting a very serious run of sales conferences in September. As you know, we do one meeting a quarter in your area. We don't like to do meetings just to do meetings. So we have those that are jam-packed with information and live dials in front of you and sales techniques and in-home presentations and anything and everything you would need to know about being a more effective producer. And also a lot about how we're building a business, because one of the things that happened with us is we learned how to sell life insurance real fast, which is what you have to. I think the way we launch the company is the way you want to launch your business. I think if you got hired today, we were hiring people day one. But the reality is everybody around us had to be successful at selling life insurance. I think that the minute you go, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to never sell anything, but I'm going to build a big team, and it's like, that's just probably not going to happen that way. You don't need to sell the most. You don't need to sell forever, but you need to make sure you're making money to support yourself and your endeavors here as you're going ahead and moving forward. And one of the things is, I was at a college visit with my daughter this week, and one of the people said to me, can I ask you something? You do so much in business. How were you a social work major? And I said, that's easy. I said, I was a business major for the first semester of my fall year, freshman year, my undergrad. And at the end of my semester, I went up to all my professors and I just asked them, they didn't talk much about what they did in business during the course of the year. They talked about the book, concepts, and what I really came to realize is none of my business professors, whether they were in accounting, economics, business management, organizational development, that most of them were professional teachers, which I had no problem with them teaching. I just had a problem with them teaching me, because I wanted to learn about business. I wanted to know what happens when this happens. I want to know what's allowed you to be successful. I want to know what's caused you to fail. I want to know all of those things. And I started looking at different departments, and in the social work department, and I did love social work, just so you know, in the social work department, everybody that was teaching was in the field. They were out there doing it, and I think that was very attractive to me. So when they talked about working with abused and neglected kids or working with substance abuse, I mean, they had done it and they were doing it. So they didn't have to do it forever, but they had the experience and they could talk about real life. Hey, what's the most effective sales training? When you go, so last night or 2 weeks ago or one time, I sat down with this couple. He said this, she said this happened. Then I said this here, and then I said to somebody the other day. They said, "You always say that?" I go, "Yeah." Whenever I went to appointments, I was like, "All right, let's go, family." This is a big family event. Like, hey, family, what's up? I just use that word a lot, because for me, I was there to protect the entire family. Everybody was a participant, whether they were young, old, getting the coverage, not, child, it didn't matter. everybody was involved. Didn't mean everybody sat at the table, but my deal was, this is a family deal. Like, I love watching you with your family. I love seeing how you guys interact. And whenever I talked about that, it was from real life experience, because I did it for so many years. So as we're rolling through September, October, November, we've never had better lead situations. If you pay attention to what we got, we have so many things going on, not only with all the amazing direct mail opportunities we have, but with the amazing Facebook opportunities that we have for leads. We have a lot of people that are doing very well and excited about a lot of the new telemarketing opportunities, which takes a while to find real good ones. We have some other stuff on the internet that people they're excited because they have so many options. You know, we launched the company, we were just trying to stay alive. We could, you know, somebody said to me yesterday, could you go to 2 million in life? Like, you guys could support them. Like, we could go to 5 million in life a week and support it, because we know how to do it. We know what not to do. We've been doing it long enough. So really excited about what the rest of this year looks like, and I hope you're working hard to finish strong. I mean, as an independent contractor, momentum's everything. And I think a lot of times that people, you know, their barometer or thermometer, however you want to look at it, their compass is really just, do I have enough money in the bank to pay my bills? And the minute you get rid of that, because that mentality will get you hurt a lot. I mean, any company that runs around trying to stay in, but you imagine if, you know, the restaurant franchise on the street you like so much, their goal was just to try to have enough money to pay bills. I mean, then all of a sudden something happens, and something happens to the location, or taxes change, or whatever it is, and they're out of business. So I just wanted to work as hard as I could to make sure I could live the life I wanted to live, and I want to see everybody do the exact same thing. So Andrew, I appreciate being here. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate who you are. I love these formats. It's awesome. And at this point, I'm honestly going to get out of the way and let Andrew, who then turn over to Sean Ruggiero, go. So no further ado, Mr. Andrew Taylor.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm at the corporate office today, and I feel very blessed and grateful for everything that's been going on with Family First Life and how much they've continued to pour into my business and help me make more money and provide a better lifestyle for my family and allow me to, in turn, do the same thing for everybody else. I'm sitting here and I'm watching the staff, Sasha and Jasmine and Precious and Sizer, work like they don't even talk. They're just working because there's so much going on, and I want to say thank you, because I know how important the behind the scenes stuff is to keep everything together. And today I'm going to go over a very important topic that has changed my business and allowed us to go from 2 years ago we had 25 unique writers as an agency, and last month we had 192 unique writers as an agency. And the way we did that is by selling final expense. And also, I'm going to tell you guys how to get a new agent when it comes to final expense, making money quickly. Before we get into those, I want to talk a little bit about my career. So I'm 29, and when I got in insurance, there were some things that were holding me back. And I was bagging groceries, and my entire goal was to make one sale a month to make up for my paycheck at the grocery store, which was about $250 per week. And when I first started, I had a lot of doubt. I was indecisive, and I was fearful of this industry. And I want to talk about this for people who are getting into the industry to kind of understand where I came from and how I overcame that to get to a Hall of Fame producer, and then also train people to do the same thing. When I first started, everybody told me not to get in commission-based sales. They said, Andrew, that's dangerous. I remember my grandma telling me, don't quit the grocery store because you're going to lose your benefits that you have, your health insurance. Even though I was making around $250 there. And there was all this doubt in my head, like this might not work. And the bigger thing was I was more worried about what other people would think about me if I failed. And so when I started in this industry, I'd be thinking, I want to do all these things, but what if I fail? What would people think of me? And then being indecisive, I wasn't sure what to do. And what I found is the answer is just doing something. And when being indecisive, the biggest thing I was indecisive with was lead flow. 1 week I wouldn't get any leads. The next week I would. I was constantly indecisive about what type of leads to get. And it really slowed down my business in the very beginning when I first started in insurance. So what I did was I came to the conclusion that I didn't care what people would think if I failed. The worst thing that could happen if I didn't do good is I work somewhere else. No one really truly cares, and I stopped worrying about that. The next thing is, when it came to being indecisive, I made sure that I always made a decision, even if it wasn't the right decision. When it came to leads, there would be several different lead options for me to purchase. I would just pick one and I would see what happened. And when I did that, I constantly learned and changed what I needed to do in order to find the perfect formula of the lead flow that fit my situation. And then when it came to fear, I always thought, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? If I order 25 Facebook leads, what's the worst thing that can happen at the end of the week? The worst thing that could happen is, let's say I don't make a sale. And early on in the industry, somebody told me, they go, hey, because I was complaining about getting no-show. They go, hey, at least your family's healthy and alive, and you're not. And it was right when that Haiti hurricane happened, and people's families were buried in the middle or under buildings, and they couldn't find their own families. He goes, dude, you're complaining about a chargeback, and people are looking for. That's a real problem. Is the people that are looking for their families. And it put into perspective why I should not be fearful of this industry and just continue to do what I'm supposed to do and follow the formula to win every single week. I am a big believer. I don't believe I'm the best salesperson. So what I do is I like to go through the numbers and find the people that want to buy. And I do want to help people. So my goal always is to never go into a home and have commission breath. I never want to go in a home thinking about, if I don't make this sale, I'm going to be really mad. When I used to go into homes thinking that, it never worked out. The way I want to go into a home is I'm going to give it all I have, and I'm going to try to help this person. And I'm going to try to find what they're missing, and I'm going to try to fill that void that they have. And if I can do that, if they don't buy, I'll still be able to sleep well at night. But I'm going to see enough people so that I'll find the people that will appreciate my services. So early on, what I did is I'd book 3 or 4 appointments. I'd go, oh man, I dialed all day, but I really wouldn't be dialing. I'd be on MySpace at that time. I was on MySpace looking at people's profiles, pretending like I was working. I would take a bunch of bathroom breaks, go wash my car, do the dishes, do all these different things. And I would never get down to actually just 100% focusing on work. So what ended up happening is I would run 3 or 4 appointments. And if they didn't go good, I'd go, man, this business, this is a tough business. And when I changed and I said, I'm going to run 24 appointments every single week, and I'm going to just show up, do what I'm supposed to do, and see what happens, this business started to change for me. So what I did is every Monday I would dial all day long, and I would book appointments for Tuesday and Wednesday. Every Thursday I would dial all day long, and I would book appointments for Friday and Saturday. And I would book 6 appointments per day so that I have an average of 24 appointments per week. Now, if I have an average of 24 appointments per week, and a lot of people don't believe me, but I go, how many appointments do you think that I've sold out of 24 appointments on average in a week? And they go, I think you sold 19. I think you sold 15. Whatever it is. After my 24 appointments every week, at the end of the day, I end up selling about 7 homes, 6 to 7 homes. So from my appointments booked ratio to my appointments sold ratio, it's about 25%. My average premium's around $150. And that leaves me right between $9,000 and $10,000 every single week for the week. Every single week between $9,000 and $10,000, 24 appointments. And I go through these numbers and I find people that they want our services. I don't just go on 1 or 2 appointments and try to convince someone who maybe they don't want it. I don't try to convince them if they don't want it. Now, I believe most of these people do want it, 90% of them, because they did fill out the form. And if they say they don't, it's just they're just used to saying stuff like that. Kind of like when I go to Best Buy and I'm looking for a TV and they ask me what I'm looking for when I walk in. I usually say nothing. I'm just looking. But I'm really there to buy something. So most of these people are really there to buy, but I love the position that I'm in when I have so many people to see that I don't have to be desperate and I don't have to have commission breath. About a month ago, and I'm very grateful for Sean, Mike, and FFL and everything they've done, because I started at FFL with just being a producer and issue paying about $20,000 a month. And Sean said, you should be issue paying $40,000 a month. And I thought that was the craziest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, there's no way people are going to issue pay $40,000 a month. Well, getting around people that thought that, getting around Sean, I started issuing $40,000 a month. And then he goes, you can also hire a team. You don't have to have a small little agency. There's so many people out there doing this, and there's so many people we can help. And so I've been able to get to the point where cash flow is very good. We've been averaging about 800,000 in paid sales per month. And I was thinking, I don't need to run appointments anymore. And so I went about 3 weeks without running appointments. And I started thinking, why would I not run appointments? That's the craziest thing ever, because I can go out in a few days and generate $5,000 to $10,000 of cash flow, additional cash flow. And I can reinvest that into growing a even bigger agency. So I took about 3 weeks off in the last 10 years. That was the only 3 weeks off because I was going to get out of the field. Then I changed my mind. And what I did was, when I decided to get back in the field again, I decided that I'm going to only run final expense. And the reason I did that is because I heard some people say, some people have said they don't like running final expense, or I've heard people complain about it. And I love proving that something can be done. So I took that 3 week break. I got back in the field. And what I started doing is using Facebook leads and direct mail final expense leads. And I found some really, I like to say, beautiful things about final expense that I wasn't familiar with when I didn't completely run 100% final expense appointments. But some of the things that I found was they're very easy to book. You can book a lot of appointments, and you can book appointments very quickly. My schedule is insane. I can start running appointments at 7 a.m. and I can run 9 appointments before 5 p.m. The other day I had 8 appointments. I had 4 no sales. I had 3 sales, and I had one no show. They were all final expense appointments. I ended up writing about $3,500 in premium for the day. So the way I look at things is I go, okay, if I could do that for 2 days, that would average about $7,000 in premium. The other thing I noticed is I can get leads anywhere. So when mortgage protection slows down and changes with the economy, what I've noticed is final expense doesn't. There's close to 12,000 people turning 65 every day. And that's going to be happening for the next 20 years. So there's going to be no slowdown of people that are going to need final expense insurance because people are getting older. I've noticed that it's a very simple thing that everybody wants to have, because nobody wants to leave this as a burden on their kids. Everybody has the same idea. I want to make sure my loved ones, they don't have to worry about putting me in the ground. A lot of people say that. I'm going to go through expectations on lead flow, and then I'm going to go through some of the things that I say in the home. Expectations on lead flow. For every 30 leads I get, I find an easy $5,000 in premium. And it's like easy. Now, if I really work them hard and I door knock and I follow up and I push the envelope and I give it 100%, then 7,500 for every 30 leads. Now, it's important to understand that you're going to have leads where it's not a fit, they don't have much money. You got to go through the numbers, and that's what I never did early in my career. Is I didn't go through the numbers to realize that you're going to find people with money. You're going to find people that want to buy big policies. And just this past week, the first appointment I went into, the lady goes, right when I knock on the door, she goes, "Come on in, baby. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? You want some water?" And she goes, "I'm just looking to make sure if something happens to me that my daughter doesn't have to worry about it." And I was thinking, this should be, I mean, it seems like we shouldn't get paid this much for what we do. For just doing this, for going here and just helping this sweet lady, drinking some tea with her, eating some cookies with her, and filling out some paperwork. It's insane. Renewals, final expense. There's a ton of renewals, and so I started thinking, why don't I write these policies that are going to pay me every year, over and over and over again, and build up a nice, decent sized retirement and income for myself. Lead flow when it comes to hiring. There's pretty much an unlimited amount of lead flow that availability when it comes to final expense. And so what we've been doing is we've been having people supplement and new agents start with final expense. And instead of traveling 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, they can go right in their backyard and they can, or within a close radius generally, and they can go see a ton of people. So I actually used to travel a lot to run mortgage protection. And what I did is I did the math. And I love traveling to run mortgage protection. I think it's a great thing. But I said, instead of traveling multiple days, why don't I just travel a couple days and then I'll run final expense locally? And what I came to find out is I'm saving money up front because I don't have to get a hotel. I don't have to get a flight. I don't have to spend all this money. And that's more money that I can reinvest into leads. And I think I did the math one week. I go, okay, so for all the travel for me to do this, it's $1,100. What if I took that $1,100 and I bought more leads and I ran final expense and I saw more people and went through the numbers and I ended up having a huge week of over $10,000 just final expense. When I get into a home, every single time I say the same thing. So I'll go, "Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm here to see if I can save you money on your burial plans." Now, they're going to say one of two things. They're going to say, "I don't have it." And I go, "That's exactly why I'm here." Or they're going to say, "I do have one." And I say, "Go get it so we can see what you got, so we can see if we can improve your situation at all." This is a very important part of the presentation when you get in there. And the good thing is most of these are daytime appointments. But the client's going to go get their policy. And a lot of times, I would say 90% of the time, people don't know what they have. They think they have something different. So I get in there, they go, just the other day, I have $50,000 of coverage. And we look at it and it's $5,000, but it's $50,000 accidental attached to that. So we go through and we can create more needs, and we can go through their situation, and we can help them if we understand their entire situation. Now, what I used to do is I would come in contact with people that couldn't find their policies. So they go, "I don't have them." And I go, who is your policy with? They give me that information, and I go, "Great, we're going to call them because we want to see what you have." So we want to see how much coverage, what you're paying. We're going to get that information. And I Google the company's phone number. So I go, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, let's call your company, ask them if they can talk to me. I'm going to ask the company some questions about your policy, and I get all the information. And I'm doing this because I want to help them, but in order to help them, I have to understand what they have. And I don't want to get to the end and they go, we have something and it's not even real. It's like fighting something that's not real. So when I'm in the appointment, I get all that information up front and I go through a financial inventory. And when I go through a financial inventory, I identify other places that I can help them. So I think what helped me start to be a very consistent producer is understanding that it doesn't matter what type of lead you get in, because you can find a lot, what type of lead it is that gets you in the door. Once you're in the door, you can find a lot of ways to help a client. So when I get in, I tell them that my job is to help you save money on your burial plans. They say yes or no. They identify the policy. And then I go through the entire financial inventory. And I used to skip it until I started doing annual reviews, and I found how much money I skipped over with people that I didn't think had money. And I found out how much money people had in their 401ks. And I found out IUL opportunities. And so every home, and this is very important, I don't skip anything on the financial inventory. Now, the other exciting thing is like 70 or 80% of the country's wealth is held by people over the age of 60. It makes sense. They work their whole life, they save their money, they prepare for retirement, they have all the money. So as we're getting in all these homes, we're finding a ton of annuity prospects. Now I want to help you guys with this. Let's say you don't know anything about annuities. That's perfectly fine. You can still run these appointments. You can still ask all the questions. And what you do is you identify someone that you can help, and then you book an appointment to come back another day. So we call that BAM-famming somebody, booking an appointment from an appointment. Now within that week, in between your next appointment, you're going to be able to find out from your manager or whoever hired you a proposal that you can show them to go back and help that client with a rollover or with an annuity or with any type of additional service. And the beautiful thing about BAM-famming is it can be for anything. It could be for Med Sup. It could be for IUL. It could be for children's, grandchildren's policies. It could be for IULs for grandkids. It can be for just additional insurance. And so I think it's important for us to never tidal wave sale. What that is it's when you get in a home and you start talking about every product, and the client ends up giving you what a deer in the headlights look. They're like, I don't really understand any of this, so I really truly need to think about it. And they end up really truly needing to think about it. So with BAM-FAMs, what we do is when we're there for final expense, we focus on final expense, and then we can go back another day with whatever additional service that we think we can help them with. Now, final expense is very, very simple and easy to use, and it's easy to learn, and the products are easy. So the reason I want to talk about this is because I want to talk about the way how many agents we can help with final expense, and how easy it is to get them selling right up front, and how easy it is to get them lead flow right up front, and how easy the concept is for them to learn in the very beginning. So every agent we hire, we start them off as a final expense agent, and then we're slowly going to go through all the quintents and teach that agent more. Now this is crazy to me. 60% of Americans have a part-time hustle. So that means they might work for they have some side job. They might mow lawns. They might be a painter on the side. They might work for Mary Kay. They might sell juice. They might whatever. There's a million different things that people can do. But the crazy part to me is that 60% of Americans need and want and are willing to work for extra money. Now, the average American's part-time hustle only pays about $300 per month extra in that household. And when I heard that, it was very clear to me that Family First Life could go to a billion-dollar company. And the reason is because one policy generally for an agent could be $700 to $800 per policy that somebody can make, not per month. And they can do it in a lot less time than somebody who has their own part-time mowing lawns, doing all these crazy things. Now, when I did the math on this, it blew my mind. If I had 100 agents, if I worked, I don't want to say if I had, like I own, because I hate doing that. If I worked and partnered with 100 agents, and I helped them get to the point where they can sell 2 policies per week, that would average about $2,500 in premium. So if an agent did 2 policies a week, that's 8 policies a month, they would average $10,000 in premium. Now, I've got a few friends that have full-time jobs, and I told them about this, and they got their first checks for $3,000, $4,000, and they are out of their minds. It's such a big impact for their families, that extra money coming in, that they can't believe it's even possible, and they're willing to work, and they're just doing this part-time. But if you had 100 people do 22 policies a week, which would average $2,500 in premium a week, then that equals $1 million per month in issue paid premium. You guys I checked the math like 4 or 5 times because I'm thinking I can definitely get 100 people to help them sell 2 policies a week, even if it was part-time, and transition them into a full-time deal. And I can get them leads anywhere they want. We can get Facebook leads, we can get direct mail final expense leads, and there's no area that's been tapped out. You can order. You order 30 Facebook leads, you're going to write 2,500 for sure. It should be 5,000. 2,500 is going to be no problem. Now, when I started looking at the math on this, and I'm here to help people, I'm also here to make money. I think all of us got into this industry to make money. I want to make money by helping people, not by ripping people off. So if we helped that many people do that, if your agency did $1 million a year, and let's say you had $1 million a month, let's say you had a 15% spread. So your average spread was 15%. That's $150,000 a month for helping a lot of people do something that they wanted, that they're doing anyways in a different way, trying to make extra money, but giving somebody what they want and helping them make more money and helping them make money even quicker. Now, when I hire an agent, this is something that I've heard a lot. People go, I'm getting so many calls that it's taken up all my time because all of these agents are calling me all day long. Now, when I hire somebody, I'm very clear up front that I don't care what they say. It all depends on what they do. And they're going to earn my time based on their action, not their words. Because I've heard everybody in the world say, I'm so good. I've made millions of dollars at other companies. I've done all these different things. And then they never do anything. And then you got the quiet guy that doesn't say anything, that you don't think is going to do anything. And then all of a sudden they're submitting 10,000 a week. So I can never prejudge someone based on their history, based on their prior job. I can only judge somebody and decide how much time I want to invest in them based on their activity here with Family First Life right now. Now, when I hire somebody, my job is to go, I'm going to say, listen, Mike, this is day 1. We talk, they send in contracting. Listen, Mike, this is the only thing I know right now for sure. And that's, you need to make money. You wouldn't come here, you wouldn't be here if you didn't make money right now. Now, the way we're going to do that is I'm going to send you some leads today, and I need you to start calling. And I need you to send me a report at the end of the day of how many appointments that you booked, and how many dials that you made. Now, I generally send people, if I have the ability to, I'll send them older leads that I've purchased. Now, I don't care if they book any appointments. I just want to see if they work. And I'll weed out a lot of people that would have sucked up a lot of my time right then and there by finding out that they never actually will pick up the phone. And then when I identify the guy that goes, hey, I made 200, we had a guy, he goes, I made 500 phone calls. His first week with a license. I made 500 phone calls, and I booked 50 appointments off of these leads I gave him for free. And that guy, I identified that guy as somebody that I want to invest my time and energy into. And I want to be smart when I'm investing my time and energy, because I don't want to invest it with someone who's never actually going to pick up the phone anyways. The other thing is, I'm very upfront with people about them calling the carriers if they need something. If they need a form, if they need to know how to do an e-app, if they need to know how to do get a quote or whatever it is. The companies are billion-dollar companies. They have customer service departments. They know a lot of things. And so I try to up front set the expectation that agents can take initiative as business owners and start getting things done without needing me to walk them through every single thing. Just like the old deal, you can lead a horse to water or whatever the whole thing is. You guys know that deal. Now, that's real. If you baby them and baby them and baby them and baby them and do everything for them, then it's not going to end up, they're never going to grow up and figure out how to do it on themselves. Do it all themselves. Now, once somebody does that, my goal is to make sure they get paid. And as they're working, they're going to go meet people. Dominique said it a few weeks ago on a call. He goes, 99.9% of this business is done on the phones. And that's true. Because you're going to show up and people are going to want the product. They're going to like you. And that's the easy part. The hard part is sticking to the phones. So my goal is to get an agent on the phone, or booking appointments, going and seeing people, and then this is the big one, doing electronic applications. So we need people, and if you don't do electronic applications, I will not work with you. Why won't I work with you? Because the paper applications, I can go write a paper application, I'll fill it out, I'll have someone in our office look at it, review it, make sure I don't miss anything. I'll have another person in our office look at it, review it, make sure we don't miss anything. We'll send it in, and we will still miss something. And then we don't get paid. And then there's amendment. And then we're chasing the client down. And then it's just a nightmare. So for any agents that I hire, I tell them up front, you have to do e-applications. You have to have internet everywhere you go so you can be in business. And the way I break this down to them is I say, people spend $250,000, $300,000 on a franchise. You don't have to spend anything except get a computer and pay $20 a month or whatever it is at Verizon or whoever you get your cell service through to get an internet stick. It's a very small investment to always be prepared to be able to write business. And then the last thing is I constantly share good news with people. When I got in this industry, I was used to my sphere of influence being very negative. Don't get an insurance. Don't do this because it's dangerous. Don't do this because it's a scam. And when I got around people and started hearing stories about people that didn't live like that, they didn't accept that as a way of life, I was able to change and get myself out of that thought process. So what I do with everybody that I hire is I tell them, I get them in one of the Facebook group pages, and I let them watch everybody win, because everybody's posting success stories. And then every time I talk to them, I tell them that about someone else that is doing really well, because I want to drip positive information into their lives, not negative. I don't go, hey, my day was so bad, whatever. I got in a car crash, this, and this happened. I don't do that to an agent that's getting ready to go out in the field and pollute their minds. I tell them positive things like, hey, Jack just wrote an annuity for $310,000, and he met the person off of a final expense lead. This person's been with us for 5 days, and they just wrote $9,000 in premium their first week. And I'm constantly giving that positive information out and dripping that positive information on everybody. Now, I also tell a new agent, you can't miss calls. If you miss a conference call, then what you're and I have this conversation. It takes 5 minutes every time I hire someone. If you miss a conference call, you're showing me that you don't respect my time at all, because you're going to get a lot of your answers here. And if you don't get on it, you're going to call me later and want the answer, which says you don't care about my time. You don't care. You take it for granted, and you're going to abuse it. So all these conference calls that we have, the next level call, all these different calls, these are non-negotiables. These can't be, you have to do this, or I will not invest time and energy and resources into you and your business. Lastly, I just want to thank Family First Life. I'm looking forward to continuing to double and grow and help more people. And we have an avalanche of new agents coming on board, seeing success, and it's awesome to see. And I'm looking forward to the future. Thanks, guys.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Next Level Call. I'm Sean Ruggiero. This is being broadcast live on Facebook. Today, we're going to be talking about the financial inventory. So the financial inventory is a tool that we use during the in-home when we sit down with clients. Doesn't matter if we're sitting down with final expense clients, mortgage protection clients, whatever the lead might be, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the lead, we're going to be using the financial inventory. And why? The financial inventory is what allows us to gain access to the other quintance from one quintant. So if we review here quickly, mortgage protection is the first quintant, final expense is the second, annuity, the third, IUL, the fourth, and the newest quintant is MedSup, Med Advantage. Now, these quintants here, and I'm circling mortgage protection, final expense, and MedSup. Those quintants, we have access to leads. And when I say access to leads, there are a few annuity leads out there. I've seen some IUL leads, but nothing to the magnitude, the volume, and the easy access that you'll see with mortgage protection, final expense, and MedSup. So if we sit down with a mortgage protection lead, if we sit down with a MedSup lead, if we sit down with a final expense lead, we use the financial inventory to unlock all the other potential products. And that specifically includes annuities and IULs. That's how we sell those through Family First Life. Now, the first time I saw the financial inventory in use was Matt Smith back in 2008, 2009. Now, at the time, we had developed it just to try to find annuities when we sat down with people for mortgage protection and final expense. The financial inventory has evolved quite a bit since then. So what we're going to do is we're going to review the financial inventory, go over the sections of the financial inventory, and make sure you understand how you use it and why you're using it. So let's start with the first section. The first section is the client information section. Pretty straightforward, what we're asking for there. We're going to learn their age, we're going to learn the spouse's age if they're married, and the number of children that they have and what their age is. You also learn their income, which is very important for two reasons. So the first reason is you get to find out what they can afford. So in section 1, if we're finding out client info, we're going to find out age, dependents. Now I'm using dependents loosely. The children might be 24. Maybe we call them a beneficiary. The spouse might be older, the spouse might be younger. But these are dependents in the way that they are tied to this person financially in one way, shape, or form. So we're going to be looking at the dependents, the age, and the income. Okay, now why is income important? Like I said, there's two specific reasons why income is important. The first reason is it helps us identify what they can afford. If someone is on a Social Security budget of $1,600 a month, and their rent, their mortgage, whatever it might be, is $600, they have to pay for food, healthcare costs, certain things like that. Do you really think they're going to be able to fund an IUL for $1,000 a month? Now that might seem like an extreme example, and it is, but it's important to know their incomes. You get a relative idea of what their budget should be. We want to write policies. We do want to be aggressive to a certain extent, but we're there to protect the client. The worst thing we can do is try to force a policy down their throat that we know they can't afford, because it's bad for them and it's bad for you. So we use that income to identify how much they can afford. The second thing we do with income, and this goes back to something we talked about in a previous next level call, is we identify what the income gap is going to be. So if we've got a husband and a wife, and we're asking through the financial inventory what the husband makes, let's say it's $2,500 a month, and what the wife makes, let's say it's $1,500 a month. When the husband dies, we have an income gap. We will find that out because we're taking the time to go through the financial inventory and get the client info. Now let's back up just a second. I get this question all the time. How do I feel comfortable presenting the financial inventory to a client? Now I've been in the field. I've sat there in front of clients and I had the same question. I'm there to service a final expense lead. I'm there to answer their questions for mortgage protection. That's the lead that they filled out. So why in the heck am I asking all this information? What I do is I explain to them, and this is absolutely true, I explain to them I'm a field underwriter. I'm here to determine what you'd be eligible for. First thing we needed to decide is what coverage would you be eligible for? Because if I show you things that you're not eligible for, it wouldn't make sense. The second thing we need to do is we need to identify what you can afford. Because if it doesn't fit in the budget, it also doesn't make sense. And then the third thing is we want to make sure that the underwriter with the insurance company agrees with my findings and we get you approved. So what we need is we need to go through this financial inventory. It'll be very quick. It allows us to identify if you're eligible for the coverage, what coverage would be best for you, and what you can afford. So if there are no further questions, I'd like to begin. This is going to take about 10 minutes. And we present it straight up front. We tell them why we're doing this and allow them to have any questions, to ask those questions at that time. What happens the vast majority of the time is they nod their head and they say, thank you, that makes sense. And now they feel more comfortable answering these questions because your job is to assess if they can afford it. Don't take that lightly. Your job is to assess if they're going to be approved or not based on the health, based on the medications, based on their age. Your job is to help them accomplish things like covering an income gap, taking care of their beneficiaries, making sure that the house that they paid 26 years on and then passed away is not lost back to the bank. That's your job. So we take it seriously. And in order to take it seriously, we need to understand more about this person's profile. And that's what the financial inventory does. Now, the second section is the medical section. So the medical section, pretty straightforward. We're going to find out what ailments they might have had, what prescriptions they're taking. This is also important for two reasons. The obvious reason is it's going to tell us what they're going to be approved for or what they're likely to be approved for. Are we looking more of a final expense whole life product, or are we looking at more of an HMS cash back product? We need to know that based on their medical information. But again, getting back to a slightly advanced thought on this, we're going to use this to make sure we understand what the estate planning is going to be. We're going to understand longevity here. See, if the wife is 5 years older than the husband, and the wife has had cancer, or the wife has type 1 diabetes, and the husband's perfectly healthy, what can we deduce from that? We can probably deduce that the wife is going to pass before the husband. So health and medical information is important, just as income information is when we're making recommendations on what we should be doing for their estate plan, for their longevity plan, for their bridging the income gap. Now, they're also going to tell you if they're a smoker under the medical information. And if you haven't seen this, you need to contact Americo and take a look at it. Americo has a new product. It is the ability to offer non-smoker rates for smokers. And so what they do is they say, hey, listen, you're smoking right now, but what is your desire to quit smoking? And many people who are smoking want to quit smoking. It's an addiction. They understand it's not good for them. It's not that they're just choosing to do it. It's that they've lost the ability or the motivation to stop. Well, this is a fantastic opportunity to go to them and say, listen, we can give you non-smoker rates, all right, even if you're a smoker. Now, the way it works is that sometime in the future, I believe it's 36 months, they're going to send them a swab. They take the swab, they send it back into Americo, and then they figure out if they have stopped smoking or not. What an awesome opportunity if you're filling out the medical information and you got someone who's a smoker. Now, even if they are still a smoker down the road, Americo doesn't adjust the premium. They just adjust the face amount. So it's still going to fit in their budget. So just a quick caveat in that. If you haven't looked at the new Americo product for smokers, I strongly suggest you do. It's a great product. Now, the third section that we're going to go through is the mortgage information. Again, referencing Matt Smith, Matt always made sure that he used his financial inventory even for final expense leads. If someone is filling out a final expense form, maybe it's on Facebook, maybe it's through the mail, they want to know about end of life. They want to know about burial costs. They want to know about protecting and sending tax-free money to their loved ones. They didn't ask about mortgage. But how many people who have a final expense request have a mortgage? Quite a few. So we're going to talk to them because final expense can be used for mortgage protection the same way that an HMS product can be used for mortgage protection, meaning that it will protect their loved ones from losing that asset. It might be deployed slightly differently. It might not be a cashback 30-year term product, but if we can cover that last $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 of principal that is owed on the balance of the loan through a final expense product, then the mortgage protection section becomes very, very relevant. Also, reminder, if this is a mortgage protection lead, they have the money. Normal debt to income and housing to income ratios have to be around 35% to be approved. And in today's climate, you have to prove that income. This can't be fabricated income. This can't be embellished income. This is true, proven income. So if you ever sit down with someone on a mortgage protection lead that says they can't afford it, it's absolutely not true. They just need to make it a higher priority. So section 3 is the mortgage protection information. Now, it's important, obviously for mortgage protection reasons, but it's going to allow us to identify two things. How, if the spouse dies, do you afford this mortgage in the future? And how, if both of you die, or if we're dealing with a single person who has children, how do you make sure that an asset that you paid into for 20 years passes on to your children? So by tying this together, right? Client information gives us how many dependents they have. It gives us their incomes. It gives us their age gaps. The medical information gives us an idea of how healthy they are and who's probably going to die first. And then the mortgage information is not just we find out how much a mortgage payment is. It goes deeper than that. It goes to the idea of how much is that asset going to be worth. For most people, their largest asset that they'll ever gain, outside of maybe a large defined contribution plan like a 401k, if they work at a place for 20, 30 years, the largest asset they'll ever own is their home. You need to stress that to people. This is not something to take lightly because that mortgage is tied to that asset, and that asset is the largest thing they can protect, pass on to their spouse, or pass on to their children. Now, we're then going to ask them in section 4, their current life insurance. Now, this is important because it allows us to find out what they think about life insurance and what their need is. Now, they filled this out. They obviously have a need. I remember a mistake that I had when I was first in the field years ago is I would tell them everything I have and then ask them what they thought. And they would say, well, let me get my other policy out and take a look and compare it. That was a mistake. I need to ask them before I present anything. What current life insurance do you have? Whole life, term life, whatever it might be. And there you're going to find out, do they have coverage? How much is the premium? If it's term life, when is it expiring? If it's whole life, do they like whole life or are they adverse to it? That way, when you go present your life insurance solution, you know what ground you stand on. The second thing this leads to is the golden question. The golden question is, do you have anything that acts like life insurance, such as a 401k, an IRA, an annuity, or a lump sum that you're going to pass on to your spouse or to your children free of probate, right? Outside of probate when you pass. That question here, the golden question, allows us to then say, if yes, sell an annuity, and if no, sell an IUL. So that's on the financial inventory right there. And then the last question is Medicare. Are you enrolled in Medicare? Now, if they're under 65, you don't have to ask this question. But if they're 64, 65, or older, ask them. It's a great way to sell an extra Medicare or Med Advantage policy by simply saying, okay, when's the last time you shopped the rates? These change every year based on county. These carriers are constantly shuffling back and forth on which counties they want to be the lowest priced in. So if you haven't shopped this out in the last year, I suggest you let me do that for you. So you can see that we've tapped all 5 quintins using the financial inventory. You've seen how important each of these sections are and how you can ask these questions, how you can pose these questions in a way that you're benefiting the client and you're benefiting yourself. So you can help protect them, maximize this lead, right? If one lead turns into 3 sales, that's maximizing the lead. And that's what we want to do to be most efficient with our time in the field. If you have any questions or if you want a copy of the most recent financial inventory, please email annuity@familyfirstlife.com. That's annuity@familyfirstlife.com.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm at the corporate office today, and I feel very blessed.